Hello, friends. Good morning once again. So, in my last lecture, I have already given you an idea of the play Abhijnana Shakuntala and how the plot of the play is divided into 7 acts. Later, I also discussed the details of prelude, how Sutradhara and his actress give an introduction to the play, and how they set the scene for the action to take place in the further acts that will be continuing after the prelude. Today I will begin with act number 1. We'll see what all things happen in act number 1, and then we'll discuss some of the important aspects that have been included in act 1 which are not there in the story. So here goes the discussion on act 1 of the drama Abhijnana Shakuntala. So after the introduction and scene setting done by the actor manager, that is Sutradhara, and his companion actress, we come onto the stage where the hero is entering the stage, and the hero is none other than King Dushyanta. How he enters the setting is already the forest hermitage of Rishi Kandva, and the king is entering near the hermitage chasing a spotted deer. So it has always been the favorite pastime activity of the kings to go in search of games for hunting, and they would enjoy a lot of hunting adventures. And coincidentally, in many of the stories, interesting stories of kings and queens, the ancient romantic stories have this special episode which is common. That is when the king goes into forest to hunt some animal for his pastime, that he meets a beautiful lady in the forest and falls in love with her, and the love story begins there. So this is another example of typical love story that was there in ancient Indian classical tradition. So King Dushyanta enters the forest which is nearby the hermitage of Kanva Rishi, and he is chasing the deer now. So chasing, he comes very near to the ashram of Rishi Kanva, and there he meets a person called Vaikhanasa, who Vaikhanasa is an ascetic who is an assistant to Rishi Kanva, and he says to the king, please don't kill this deer because it belongs to the ashram of Kanva Rishi. Here we have to focus on one more thing, that the kings in those times were Kshatriyas, and they respected the priests and the sages. So always this was a respect they used to pay to the rishis, and often we have seen in many stories that before a king was coronated as the king of that whole kingdom, he would go and seek the blessings of his guru or sage who was living in forests. So always these sages who lived in the forests were of a respectful position for the kings. So Dushyanta, when he comes near the ashram of Kanva Rishi, he is told by an assistant called Vaikhanasa, who says, don't kill this deer because this belongs to the hermitage, and whatever belonged to the hermitage of Kanva was a symbol of purity which should not be disturbed or harmed. So accordingly, the king stops the chase of that deer, and here there is something significant happening. Vaikhanasa gives a blessing to the king for obeying his order, his request rather. So what he blesses, Vaikhanasa says to the king that now you have shown sympathy to a poor animal that belonged to the ashram, so you will be blessed with a son later in your life who will be a most powerful king for the whole earth, on the whole earth. So this is a blessing given by Vaikhanasa to King Dushyanta. This looks like a prediction of what is going to happen in future. So there are a lot of episodes like this wherein the predictions told by the sages or ascetics come true later in life. So this is one prediction that he is told in the beginning of the play. So having been blessed by Vaikhanasa, the king stops there to talk with Vaikhanasa, and Vaikhanasa tells King Dushyanta that this is the hermitage of Kandva and that the king should visit the ashram. And during that conversation, the king comes to know that Kandva is not there at the ashram, and he has gone to some kind of worship in order to do penance for the sake of his daughter Shakuntala. So when this conversation takes place, soon after this, there is a lot of description of nature. Various trees, various flowering plants, various animals that were roaming in the garden of that hermitage are described very beautifully. So here we can see the aspect of nature in this drama, and thereby we can say that Kalidasa was truly a nature poet. He respected nature, and the beautiful descriptions of nature set once again the romantic mood of the play. So now the king, accompanied by Vaikhanasa, is nearing the ashrama. He is walking with him, and while he is walking, he comes into the garden, and there he sees three beautiful young women enjoying each other's company. So he sees, for the first time, he sees Shakuntala, and here the descriptions of what Shakuntala was doing in the garden are given. So even Shakuntala is shown to be a true nature lover. She tends the plants there as if they are her own children. She looks after the animals, the deers, which are very friendly to her, and she feels great love for these animals and plants. So she is, since she was grown up in this nature, in a beautiful natural atmosphere, she was very fond of all these natural things. So here we can also see that even Shakuntala is a nature lover, and she reciprocates to the feelings of the dramatist himself, because this is a supporting aspect to the romantic aspect of drama. So here we see Shakuntala is enjoying her time in the garden, and she is not alone there. She has her two companions who always give her good company. One is Priyamvada and the other one is Anasuya. So both of them also play great important role in this drama. Maybe this may not be highlighted in the original story of Mahabharata, but to bring a kind of aura to the heroine here, she is always shown with companions or friends, because this gives some kind of a security to the heroine there. So the girls, Shakuntala along with Priyamvada and Anasuya, the three of them are talking with each other, amongst each other, and they are enjoying their time in the garden, watering some plants and trees. And then Dushyanta is secretly watching all the activities of these girls, and the moment he looks at Shakuntala, he falls in love with this girl. In fact, he is infatuated with the beauty of Shakuntala, and he sees that a bee is roaming near Shakuntala and it is wooing her, it is troubling her. And here we can see the beauty of romantic drama. The bee, of course, cannot be a good companion to Shakuntala, but the king feels jealous of the bee. So you can see how Kalidasa had this sense of romanticism, how he had this sense of close observation. The king is feeling jealous of a bee which was rotating and revolving near Shakuntala. He says that the bee is so lucky that it is roaming near this beautiful ladies. That is how he expresses his love or his infatuation towards Shakuntala. Then so these three girls are talking amongst each other. Somehow Dushyanta is feeling restless because he has fallen in love with this girl, and slowly he comes out of his hiding place. Now these three girls are suddenly surprised by the entry of this man who was unknown to them, but this man has a grandeur in himself. Dushyanta doesn't want to reveal his identity that he is the king himself, but he is just finding an excuse to spend some time with these girls, and especially with Shakuntala, to know more about her. He was curious and he wanted to spend more time with them, rather more time with her. So he finds an excuse and says that the king of Hastinapur has sent him to take care of the ascetics and their yajnas in this ashram, because it is the duty of the king to protect the sages. So Dushyanta tells this lie to the girls who were accompanying Shakuntala, and Shakuntala directly doesn't speak to Dushyanta, but even her feelings are known to the audience here. We can show that Shakuntala is also affected by the handsomeness of this young man Dushyanta. There is a sense of doubt whether this is the king himself or he is the servant of king. Shakuntala is not able to understand this. And meanwhile, Shakuntala doesn't directly come and talk to Dushyanta because she is feeling shy to talk to this handsome man. And this activity also, Shakuntala's shying away from Dushyanta, was also an act of love, was also an act of romance in the, as it was considered in the old times. So Dushyanta, in meanwhile, she doesn't come directly to speak to Dushyanta. So the girls who were accompanying Shakuntala want to know more about Dushyanta. Why has he come to the forest? And in this discussion with Anasuya, Dushyanta comes to know about the details of Shakuntala's birth and whom she belongs to and all. So Anasuya tells the history of Shakuntala, that she is actually the daughter of Vishwamitra and the celestial nymph Menaka, and she is the foster daughter of Kanva. She also tells that Rishi Kanva is not in the ashram, so Shakuntala has to take the responsibility of the guests, of treating the guests with hospitality. Listening to all these things, the king is happy inwardly, although he doesn't show it directly to Shakuntala. So here we can see the game of love and confusion. Both of them are attracted towards each other, Shakuntala and Dushyanta, but they are not ready to accept it easily. Somehow they want to make excuses to show their feelings and at the same time hide their feelings from each other. So they are in the stage of confirmation. They are yet to confirm their love for each other, and they want to know more about each other, and that is why they are trying to keep that distance, although they want to come near to each other. So after the king gets all the details from Anasuya about Shakuntala, even Shakuntala is shown to be making some excuses to remain in the garden for a longer time. So Shakuntala shies away from this young man, and she has a sense that this might be the king himself and not the servant of the king sent to take care of the ashram. And now Shakuntala is also showing some feelings, although not openly in her speech, but her actions, like she tries to be there in the garden for a long time with different excuses, just in order to be visible to Dushyanta and in order to see him again and again. So at the end of this act, it ends in confusion. There is no clarity to the characters, but the clarity is already seen to the audience that both of them are in love with each other, but it is not confirmed by them to each other on the stage. So at the end of this act, they have already fallen in love with each other, and the king is making excuses to remain in the garden of Rishi Kanva, for a longer time, and he is trying to avoid his duties in the capital city. So the story that is there in Act 1 is this much. So there are lots of elements here. One is this act particularly has given more focus, more interest towards the description of nature. So this happens when there are dialogues between Anasuya, Priyamvada and Shakuntala herself. So how they spend their time in the garden, how they are feeling this beauty of garden, especially Shakuntala, how she is describing the beautiful trees that she is seeing around them, and how the vines are hugging the trees, how beautiful birds are chirping in the garden. So all these descriptions are intended to show that nature is beautiful, and this also sets scene to the whole romantic mood of the play. Vasanta Rutu, or the spring season, is symbolized with love, and in fact this is what is being highlighted through the discussion between these three girls, young girls. So this is one aspect we have to consider in act number 1, that is the description of nature as a romantic element. Then the second important aspect here we have to consider is the forecasting, like predictions. There is a lot of importance given to predictions and forecasting in this drama. This aspect is related to the supernaturalism, because a blessing given by a sage is shown to be coming true all the time. So that shows the supernatural power also. So here this man Vaikhanasa, an ascetic, has already blessed the king for having shown sympathy towards an animal in the forest. He says, you will be blessed with a son who will be emperor of the world. So in this episode we also see how the king, even though he was the supreme powerful person throughout his kingdom, he respected the ascetics, he respected the saintly people, and he did not cross the limits told by ascetics or the sages. So there was this sense of gratitude, this sense of respect was shown by the king to the sages in those times. So and also sympathy. The king, although he is powerful, is ready to show sympathy to that animal because it belongs to the hermitage of Rishikarna. So this shows one of the noble qualities of a king, that is, he is to respect the elders in his kingdom. And then further, there is a lot of discussion or description about the initial feelings of love and romance. How a girl and a boy, here in this case Dushyanta and Shakuntala, how they are affected by each other, how they are attracted towards each other, but they are still not ready to accept that they have fallen in love, and they are not yet ready to confess to each other about their love. So this initial state of confusion and attraction and a sense of restlessness that is seen in the lovers is shown by Kalidasa extremely beautifully. So this description of the feelings of confusion, love, attraction, how they are trying to make excuses to be in each other's company. So all these things are shown very beautifully by Kalidasa. So we have to give a focus on these in the first act. Now the other themes and all we will be discussing once we complete all the acts. So next we will come to act number 2, wherein we have King and Vidushaka as the main characters. So this is a new character introduced in act number 2, Vidushaka. And Vidushaka is usually literally translated in English, it means a joker. So Vidushaka is an invention made by Kalidasa in this drama. It is an addition in the drama. It is not. It might not be there in the story, original story, but Vidushaka becomes important in this drama because he is like a friend to Dushyanta, to whom Dushyanta can confide his feelings. Because on one side there is Shakuntala and her companions. She can confide her feelings to her close friends like Anasuya and Priyamvada. So now the king also should have someone to share his feelings with. That is what Vidushaka is playing the role of here. So now the act begins in the same setting when already the king has come away from the garden but is near to the ashram of Kandva. And now the king is shown to be love struck. King is lost in the thoughts of Shakuntala, and here he is in company with Vidushaka. Both of them have gone together for hunting. And Vidushaka complains to the king that he is tired of moving with king because the hunting expeditions are too troublesome for Vidushaka, who was living very comfortably and luxuriously in his capital. So Vidushaka teases the king also, and he teases the king saying that because of your false pursuit of beautiful women, you bring me along with you, and these adventures are very troublesome for me. So here there is a comic conversation happening between king and Vidushaka, so they both are friendly to each other. And we can see Vidushaka is teasing the king again and again when king is trying to express his feelings of love for Shakuntala. And then later in this conversation, so in this act we have to know that these are the only two main characters which are playing main role here, king and Vidushaka. So there is this dialogue when king says that he wants to stay in the hermit to give protection to the sages, and this is exactly caught by the Vidushaka. Vidushaka says, "Oh, this is just an excuse you are making to stay in the ashram. In fact, you don't want to really protect the ashram, but as an excuse to meet Shakuntala, you are saying this." So Vidushaka properly knows his king's moods and his emotions. Then, two assistant sages of Kandva come near the king and request him to stay near the ashram. So here you see the wish of king is fulfilled consequently by the two sages who are living in the ashram. They come and say that Kandva is out of the ashram for some days and that the demons are troubling the rituals of the sages here in the ashram. So they request the king to stay with them for some more days so that they will be protected. So this was the wish of the king because he wanted to stay there. He wanted some reason to stay there. And meanwhile, a messenger comes from Hastinapur also in the forest. His name is Karabhaka. So Karabhaka comes. He is a messenger, a royal messenger who comes from Hastinapur with a message to the king. He says to Dushyanta, "King, you are requested to come to the capital because your mother wants to see you. She has a ritual to perform in your presence." So now king is in confusion whether to go back to Hastinapur to perform his duties as a son or to stay in the ashram. Now here there is this confusion between the two important things of aspects of life, that is on one side that is this love, on the other side it is duty. So this conflict between love and duty is always seen in this drama from this point onwards. I am reminded of another drama here wherein the confusion between love and duty or rather the king's decisions sometimes bring him a misfortune. For example, the play Antony and Cleopatra. Antony is one of the triumvirates of the Roman Empire. He is requested to attend his duties as a triumvirate, but he falls in love with this one Cleopatra so much that he forgets about his duties as a triumvirate, as a general in the army. So if a man fails to perform his duties at the right time, it leads to a lot of chaos, and ultimately the drama ends in the tragedy wherein Antony dies and even Cleopatra dies. So the confusion or conflict between two duties of a human being. One is, of course, love is important in one's life, but at the same time his duty, dharma, is also important. So it is the conflict between dharma and kama, which is efficiently shown in this play. And fortunately the king is able to take decisions at the right time, whether to follow dharma or whether to follow kama. So this is a situation where his mother, king's mother, Dushanta's mother, has called him back to the kingdom because she wanted to perform some ritual, and the king had a important role to play in the particular ritual. But the king feels that it is not an emergency situation, so he can avoid the ritual and stay for a longer time in the ashram, whereas his two purposes will be easily served. One is that he can stay with Shakuntala for a longer time and persuade her for his love, and maybe even marry her in secret. And on the other hand, he is also requested by the ashram people to protect their ashram. So here there is combination of love as well as duty in his decision to stay near the ashram. So king decides that he will stay back in the ashram for some more days, and instead of himself, he asks Vidushaka to go to the capital. He says, Vidushaka, you are like son to my mother, so instead of me, even you can go there and perform the ritual. Now Vidushaka has clearly understood the intentions of Dushyanta, why he is bent upon staying in the forest for a longer time, and he is quite confirmed about king's feeling of love towards Shakuntala. But now the king is in confusion. He is in a little trouble. He fears whether Vidushaka will go to the kingdom and tell about this secret love between Dushyanta and Shakuntala. That is why he takes Vidushaka in confidence and tells him that no, it was not serious what I told about Shakuntala. I was just joking about it. So don't take it seriously. And saying this, king sends Vidushaka back to the capital Hastinapur to perform duties of that ritual. So the act number 2 ends there. In this act, the things that are important are, one thing, the friendship between Vidushaka and king. The Vidushaka is a very good companion to the king, to whom king can tell his most intense and true feelings without any hesitation. And how Vidushaka teases the king, that is also a way of showing the deep friendship between the king and Vidushaka. Later, another important scene is where the king is in confusion whether to go back to the kingdom to perform a ritual or to stay back in the ashram and pursue his duty as a protector to the ashramites, and at the same time do his duties as a lover and pursue Shakuntala. So, a king's weaknesses as a human being are also shown in this particular act. Although he is a king, he is affected by these feelings of love and confusions in duties. Although he belonged to a great race or clan of Kuru dynasty, he also is affected by these humane feelings of love, affection, and attraction. And to some extent, he is also confused. He is making excuses. So, a king making excuses doesn't seem right in the beginning, but he is not making excuse for a silly reason. He is making excuse just for a silly reason, and his duties in the kingdom are not very emergency. That is, if there was a fight or a threat to the kingdom, he would have definitely gone to the capital. But it was just a small ritual which could be completed without the king's presence also. And in fact, he was requested by the ashramites, so it became his equal responsibility even at the ashram to protect the ashramites. So this confusion of a human being between the feelings of dharma and kama are shown in this scene, in this act which happens again in the forest. So there are some acts happening in the forest, there are some acts happening in the capital of the king, that is Hastinapur. So these two acts, act number 1 and act number 2, both of them take place in the forest itself, in the nearby the ashram of Rishi Kanva. And one important thing we have to remember, that throughout these two acts, Kanva is not there in the ashram yet. He has gone somewhere away from the ashram, and all this action takes place in the absence of Rishi Kanva. So with this, we come to the act number 2. In my next lecture, I will be speaking about act number 3 and 4. So I stop here with the end of act number 2. Thank you so much.